What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Standing Out, a podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. I'm your host, Trey Griggs, founder and CEO of Beta Consulting Group. Do us a favor, check us out online at betaconsultinggroup.com. You can learn about all that we're doing for clients in logistics and transportation to help them tell their stories, as well as all of our podcast highlights and everything else that's on there as well. Click that little button on that homepage there that says schedule a call with yours truly. Tell us your story. We'll help you write yours, and hope to hear from you guys real soon. Also, good to be back in the saddle. Had a little vacation. You may not have noticed that because we recorded some episodes in advance, but it is nice to be back from vacation time. Had a great time with the family up in Alaska. If you've never been there, folks, put it on the bucket list. It's an amazing place to explore. It's just an adventure unlike any other. You feel like you're walking through a movie. The landscapes, the sights, the mountains, the rivers, the animals. We saw moose, caribou. We saw a bear, tons of eagles. Just incredible. Glaciers, waterfalls. I mean, it really is incredible. It's breathtaking. So if you have never been there before, put it on the bucket list. Make sure you make that a trip, especially if you can take your family. That's incredible memory and incredible time to be out in nature. Very limited cell phone usage because you're out there with nothing. There's no coverage out there in a lot of places. Denali National Park and glaciers, things like that. So incredible time, and it's good to be back in this huddle. Before we get started today, we got a great show with a good friend who's been on the show multiple times. We'll get him on here in just a minute. But before we do that, always want to say thank you to our sponsor, SPI Logistics. They're actually out of Canada, Vancouver, where we ported at the end of our cruise. But listen, if you are a freight broker and you're just tired of dealing with having your own MC and all that work, back office work, or if you're an agent not happy where you're at right now, make sure you check these guys out. Joe Chandler and the guys over there, just phenomenal people. They've got the back office support, admin, finance, IT, sales, technology, everything that you need to allow you to stay in your sweet spot of working with customers, booking freight, and just staying kind of in your lane and having fun and making a lot of money. So check them out at success.spi3pl.com. Again, success.spi3pl.com. Let them know that you heard about it right here on Standing Out. All right, listen, our guest today is a good friend of mine. We talk a lot about golf, about basketball. We're going to do that today a little bit. And we're going to talk a little bit about sales. So please welcome to the show my good friend and the founder of Salesdash CRM, Josh Lyles.
This is your karaoke song, isn't it?
You know I know all the words to this. You know I know.
Oh, I've seen it.
All right, stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. I look funny, but you want making money. All right, we'll let that slide.
I watch that video every time it pops up on my feed. Legendary.
Man, I'll tell you, man, like that's literally one of my favorite songs to do. It gets the crowd going. It's a throwback to younger days. I mean, that was 8th grade for me, dude. I don't know when it was for you, but for me, that was 8th grade. So it brings back some good memories.
I was a young cat at that point.
Yeah, you probably like kindergarten at that point. I don't even know. I don't know our age difference, but I'm sure it's something like that. Good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
You too, man. Glad to see you back from vacation. Look like you're re-energized, ready to get back to it. Everything's good over here.
Man, it was tremendous. Have you ever been to Alaska?
No.
Dude, it's
pretty far out, man. It's pretty far out.
People don't realize this. It's about 5 times the size of Texas, which is crazy. Texas is huge. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Maybe not 5, maybe 4. They've got a shirt up there that one of the tourist shops. They got a shirt up there that says everything's bigger in Texas until you get to Alaska, and it's a picture of the state of Alaska with the state of Texas inside of it.
Really,
I mean, it's a huge state. It's absolutely huge, and it's far away. I mean, people don't realize how far away it is. It took us from St. Louis here in the Midwest. It took us 8 hours of flying to get there to Fairbanks. I mean, it's a long ways away. It has its own time zone. Has the Alaska time zone. So it's a distance. It's a haul. And man, I'll tell you, it's like they call it the last frontier because it really is, man. You're out there and you see these places where humans have never been to. Like you just see these different areas of Alaska where nobody's ever been there before. It's just natural as it always has been. And not a lot of places are like that, especially in the in the States. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make that hike out there one of these times. But
bucket list, man.
Hopefully I can get the train, not the bus.
Well, yeah. Yes, the train is definitely better. Actually, this is cool. They've got this train from Denali National Park down to Anchorage, and the train has glass windows and a glass roof. And so you're able just to look out and see all these things, and they're bringing you drinks. It's just really fun, man. So it's a neat thing to do. But yeah, if you can get to Alaska and do that, incredible trip. Really enjoyed it. 2 weeks away from work, man. Didn't check in once. Team did a phenomenal job.
I was going to say, shout out to the Beta team for holding it down, having some fun out there and bringing on some new business. I saw that.
Dude, no doubt. I'll tell you, like that was crazy because, like I had a lot of confidence in the team. I really wasn't that concerned about checking the first box, which was taking care of our clients. They do a great job, but I was actually pretty shocked when I came back and we had a new client. I was like, that's incredible. So
You're
it's
like, yeah,
just
let me
showing
go
that
back for another 2 weeks.
I know maybe I need to leave more often, but it's just showing that we're doing the right things and that the team is just phenomenal. And so it's a blessing. And being around good people is again it changes the culture and the dynamic of a company. So again, very blessed, very thankful. But that's not what we're here to talk about, man. We're here to talk about you. And one thing that you and I always talk about, we got to start with this is the NBA Finals, man. It just ended
Yeah.
yesterday. This is going to drop next week, so it'll be a week later. But it just ended yesterday. I feel like we got to recap this a little bit. Boston wins their 18th championship in a 5-game series over Dallas after losing by 48 in Game 4. Pretty wild series. Have you noticed that these games are not close like they used to be? I feel like back in the day, finals games used to be really close, with the exception of maybe a few. I don't feel
Yeah.
like they're that close anymore. Like they all seem like
I
blowout.
mean, this year was tough. I think it always kind of depends on the year, and then the tough part about NBA, it's just all about the matchups, series by series. So like I don't know. I think Boston would have had a much harder time with matchups with Minnesota, but Dallas's matchups against Minnesota just kind of favored
And
Dallas.
Minnesota's against Denver, favored Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. So
Crazy.
that's what's so crazy about the playoffs is it really is kind of just, hey, based on your seeding and who continues to advance, and then also just injuries and who's actually still healthy and still playing. Because I mean, Boston got through a lot of their early series with a lot of injuries, from others in the East. So, but they earned it. They were the best team all year. They were the only team above 60 wins, and yeah, just matchups wise, not a potential for Dallas. But yeah, that Game 4, they just got dominated both sides of the ball, and then I don't know. I
That's
just
so
feel like
weird.
Boston just didn't. They came out flat, and that's the tough part. Is like teams for whatever reason at the highest level will come out flat one game, and then they just turn it around the next game, and they can go from a 50-point loss to 30-point loss to 20-point win. Up
Dude,
at
talking
20
about
at
coming
half
out
last
flat,
night.
man. Talking about coming out flat. You and I went to the last home game for the Phoenix Suns against the Clippers, and they were
Oh
down
my
like,
gosh.
what was it, like 37-4?
Yeah,
It
it's like
was
37-6.
it was unbelievable. I mean, it's
Never
like
seen
that
that.
was crazy. I was like, and he still got it to within 7 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, with the
Right.
three ball, the emphasis on 3-point shooting, there's a lot of one-on-one play, a lot of two-man play at the top. The NBA is it's definitely changed, man. It's changed from even 10 years ago. I blame a lot of that on Steph Curry. That dude
Steph
just
Curry, man, he's the one that changed he changed the
I know.
game.
I mean, 6'9", and if you can't shoot a three, you're not going to make it in the NBA anymore. And 6'9" back in the
Yeah.
day, they didn't want him shooting threes. They didn't want him touching the ball out there. So it's
Yeah.
changed a
You
lot.
got Wembanyama, however, Wemby. We'll just call him Wemby.
Yeah,
He's
Wemby.
7'5" shooting threes.
I know, it's absolutely crazy. Where'd your love for basketball come from?
From my pops, man, just growing up. He's from Indiana. He's from Southern Indiana in Evansville.
Oh, basketball
So,
state, man.
yeah, it's basketball state. I mean, that's all they do up there. And so that's kind of,
How many
that's
times
really
did
where
he
it
show you
started.
Hoosiers? Did you watch Hoosiers a lot as a kid? Have you
Oh
seen that
yeah,
movie?
plenty.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely
that's
watch Hoosiers. Um, yeah, like there's there's so many roots there, and he would tell me about all the players that he got to watch growing up, and I mean, I don't know if he actually like played against them, but high school basketball there is one of those things where they're always going to the biggest arenas, and it's televised there, so it's not like that in most states, but in Indiana, it's a big deal.
Well, he was back when it was one division for the whole state. Like everybody
Yeah,
played. It was crazy. Like they stayed with that for a long time. He was probably back in the Bobby Knight era, like the heydays of Indiana
yep.
University and Isaiah Thomas, all those guys that played there. So
Oh yeah,
that's pretty cool, man. It's awesome. Yeah, it's neat to think about that. My love for basketball came as a second sport. It was to keep me in shape for baseball in the winter.
really.
In Missouri, and I just got so addicted to it. I don't know. So,
But you ended up making basketball your main sport over baseball, right?
I did. Yeah.
I did.
I
I did
played.
too. It was actually the same for me.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's a great winter sport, obviously in the Midwest because it's so cold. But yeah, switched it into main sport, played in college, and still love baseball, but it's just different. Just very different. I've got some good memories from baseball, but I just couldn't get away from, like, if I had the choice of playing baseball on the playground with my friends or playing basketball, I'd go play basketball.
Basketball all day.
I mean,
Yep.
all day.
Same.
Speaking of another sport that we like to play, and that is golf, the U.S. Open just wrapped up also on Sunday on Father's Day. And man, what a final round. Did Bryson lose it or win it, or did Roy lose it? How do you feel about it? Did Bryson win it or did Roy lose it?
And I don't know about this. I mean, I guess technically you have to say that Rory lost it, because I saw some stat that he was 496 of 496 within
Inside
4 or
3
3
foot.
feet. So
Yeah.
I think inside 3 feet.
Yeah.
And then he missed 2. So
That one really rocked him. The last one was a much harder putt. If you looked at him, he actually lined up outside of the hole on a 3.5 footer.
Mhm.
That's a hard putt. Like anytime you have to start the ball outside of the hole on a 3.5 footer, that's scary,
yeah,
especially downhill. So that one to me is justifiable, but you had to know that the first putt that he missed was in his mind on that last putt,
had to
without
be.
a doubt. But you know,
It's all mental.
even if he makes those putts and he stays at 7 under, 6 under, Bryson still had a shot to make a birdie somewhere along the way. So it's hard to tell. But I will say this, even though Rory missed those putts, I still feel like at the end of the day, Bryson won it because he made the craziest par. I saw a stat online that the chances of him getting it up and down from that bunker was like 1.3%.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
I mean, it was so small. You know,
that was an incredible shot. Yeah, but he's also, I mean, that guy's just hot right now, man. He's in contention in all the tournaments right now. Like he's really figured out his game. I feel like from 150 and in, you know, versus
he has.
where he probably was 2 or 3 years ago.
I'd like to hit just one drive in my life the way he does. Just one. The guy flies at 350, 340 in the fairway a lot. I mean, it's really impressive what those guys can do. But, you know, pressure is real, man. Like competitive golf is a different thing than casual golf. And anybody who is, you know, harping on Rory, you just don't know. Like pressure's a real thing. I mean, those guys make it look easy, but it's a lot of pressure, especially with him wanting to win so bad and finishing so high and needing another major after 10 years since. Anyways, a lot of good stuff to talk about. You and I could talk about these things for a while, but let's get into let's talk a little bit about Salesdash and what you're doing. I want to hop a little bit on social media. Some of the stuff that you've been doing on social media. You had a post recently on LinkedIn with a kind of a concern about, you know, new OpenAI releases and what that's going to do for interpersonal skills and that. Do you think that as AI advances, it's going to push people more towards wanting more human interaction, or do you think they're going to want to avoid human interaction more?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it'll be a little bit of both. But I think in general, to me, it's going to be one of those things that actually, when people are doing more of the personal reach outs, people have better conversions. And so I just think a general rule of thumb, human nature, the majority of people are going to look for the easy route. The easy route's going to be the automated stuff where they don't have to do a lot of things. And it's not going to be able, there's always the conversation in sales about quality versus quantity. But I think it's a really good time for people that do focus on the quality, do focus on relationships, the more that people go that route, because people are going to just use the same tools, right? And those tools are going to craft messages that are very similar, that are not unique and don't stand out. And even just from like listening to some of the shows that I've listened to recently, where like it seems like more shippers are talking. I was at the Reliance Partners panel here in Nashville recently, and then Will and Matt from the Two Dogs One Pod podcast, they've had a couple shippers on there, and you just hear what the shippers say about just like, you know, standing out and being unique and being human. So I don't know. I'm just a big believer that to really build relationships, I kind of put it simply of, if I sent you an automated message tray to ask you how your week was, friend to friend, you'd probably be like, yo, Josh, like, stop. You know, like I can't build a relationship with you if I was to send you an automated message as a friend. You'd probably look really negatively on that if it wasn't actually me reaching out to you to check on you, see how your vacation was, see how your family's doing, how are you doing, all those things. So I kind of always just use that as a personal rule of thumb, but you know, everybody's going to be different, and I can understand why some people may leverage that tech.
Yeah, you know, and the way that you talk to me is different than the way you might talk to another friend. You guys have different things you talk about, or the whatever kind of communication you guys have, the words you might use, the language, whatever. It's all different. I agree with you. I think that the more that people can do things that are almost old school, is actually going to stand out more. Like if you write a personal letter or anything personal, or anything that's kind of one-on-one or outreach, it's amazing how I think that's going to actually make it even more valuable when you do those types of things. Even though AI is going to provide a lot of benefits. I think all technology,
Yeah.
good technology at least, has a benefit, but it also has a drawback. I think the drawback is going to be looking pretty vanilla until it gets to a point where it can personalize it based on maybe past conversations. Like, can it listen to our conversations over the last 4 months and then create a text message that sounds like me talking to you? That might be a game changer when it can do that, if it can do that. But until that time, I think you're right. It's going to be very vanilla. I think AI is a great tool to help become creative and stand out, but I don't think it's a great tool in itself just for communication. Maybe it will at some point, but I don't think it is right now.
I think
We'll see.
in its current state right now, I think it's fantastic for just creativity around ideas and messaging
Right.
and all those things. But I mean, I think if you're using it in sales, and to me, sales equals relationships, then I kind of think that you're limiting yourself, because I'll give one example, and I was going to respond to this guy today, but I'll get solicits in my inbox, and I know you do too, whenever you're the founder of some company.
A lot of them.
But it was just like, hey, really excited about what you're building and all this stuff. And I read that and I'm just like, it's BS. You don't
even know
you've
what I'm
not
building.
looked at what I, you have no
exactly.
idea what I'm building. So to me, that's just like, it comes off as false. And at that point, like, I just don't really.
You want to respond and say, what's the most exciting thing about it? What are you most excited about? what stood out to you the most, just to see? Because you're right. They probably haven't looked at anything, but that's
and candidly, I mean, it's a little bit limited out there of the humans that get excited about CRM software. So
right. Yeah. My favorites when they ask me if they can move freight for me. I'm like, unless you're moving a suitcase, I got nothing for you. I have no freight.
Yeah. I get a couple of those every now and then.
Yeah. No, it's really kind of interesting. And I think, generationally too, it's fascinating about how people, I think people enjoy texting more now, but I think that the personal conversations are going to stand out even more moving forward. So it's real interesting from a sales perspective to do that. One thing you also post on LinkedIn is you said you lost the sale because you didn't do a good enough job of communicating value. Talk real quickly about the importance of that and what that looks like. How do you see people successfully communicating value?
Well, it's tough, right? Because it's a very individualistic thing. And, what's valuable to you as a business owner is going to be valuable to somebody else. So if you're a freight broker and talking to a shipper, some people care about price. Some people are going to say, hey, I don't care about price. I care most about service and it getting from A to B and whatever it costs, as long as it's reasonable, then they're going to say, send it and go with it. So I think that's the biggest difference. But I just think with that, it's about living within yourself, as a salesperson, and can you live with those results? And I just think it's so easy for salespeople to get frustrated. And for me, in coaching the amount of salespeople that have coached just from previous teams, they could be really frustrated about a prospect and complaining about the situation. But look, at the end of the day, it's their decision. And you have to figure out exactly what that value is of them, for them. And it's different. And so you've brought this up before in our conversations around, let's just take tech companies, let's just take freight tech, for example. Freight tech companies will go through demos and pitches and think that these are the things of value. And then when you go to a customer to ask them for a video testimonial or to write a testimonial, what do you like? A lot of the times that language and what they say is different than what the freight tech company is pitching. And I think that that's like prime time example number one of sometimes not having the full awareness to what people see of the value of your product or service. And so I Nick Dangles had a good comment, but it does help you kind of just question yourself in terms of, hey, how can you communicate more effectively? How can you do a better sales presentation or pitch? But overall, the whole objective of it is to make the focus more on them compared to you, and to really understand what they actually need. And the first thing is to figure out, is there even a need there?
Yeah. And this is what's crazy is I remember, when I was coaching sales reps as well, it frustrated me to no end when they would start a sales call with a demo. Like, you have no idea what these people actually want or need. We need to ask them some questions first and find out what their need is. And if we can solve it, if not, let's get off the call. And if we can, by asking questions, how to pitch it in a way that shows them how it's going to help benefit them with what they value, with what they want, with what they need. And so I agree with you. Like, you can't just go in thinking that the value for every customer. Each customer has a different need.
And then here's the other challenging part, though, from being somebody that hosts software demos. some people want to go through that process, right? Because it makes sense. I think that that makes sense. But then there's some people that say, no, we just want to jump straight into it and see the stuff. And what's funny and ironic about that situation, and for me, I'm like, look, I'm gonna go through it and I'll ask my questions throughout the demo. But a lot of times when you're asking those questions in advance, you're doing that to cater the demo, or maybe, sorry, tailor the demo in a specific way, and to answer those questions that you know are probably coming along, because when you've done enough of them, you can anticipate that those are going to come up and you can get in front of them. So like, I always like to get in front of what we don't have, when it comes to a CRM, whether it's certain integrations or just, certain features that people may ask about, and just be very candid up front, just in case that may be a deal breaker. Because it may save their time if that's like the one thing that they need. And I don't want them finding out about that later on, but I also feel that it's a trust builder if I can get in front of that and if I know it's something that others do care about.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I mean, there is a level of buyer's intent. If somebody's ready to buy, you just want to almost sell it for the most part. I remember when I was doing door to door, they used to have this thing called stop. It was just a stop sign. And they said, whenever you hear buyer's signals, then you always remember the word stop. And that is, shut up, take out your pen. Because we were taking orders. We were literally writing orders on paper. And so they'd always say, if you hear buying signals, you just stop and take the order. I think there's some validity to that. But on the flip side too, especially selling software, the last thing you want to do is sell something to somebody and then there's an expectation that was missed because you didn't go through that. Or they thought it was one thing because they heard it from a user maybe, and that user doesn't sell it as well as you do in terms of like just asking the right questions. They might give their highlights, or this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, you got to buy it. Then they buy it and they aren't happy with it because maybe there was something missed along the way. So I think those questions are really important to ask and to help communicate the value specifically to that person. So there's a lot to be gained from that process, especially selling software. So I think that's worth kind of looking into. That's for sure. Also, you got a YouTube channel that you've been building up. I've had the privilege of being in some of these videos that you've got going on YouTube, which I love. You got a couple of clips that you've had. There's one that you had with Christina Booker talking about rejection and how preparation goes a long way in prospecting. Talk a little bit about that as well too, like the idea of like how you take rejection and how you use that in future opportunities.
For sure. So I mean, I think in any sale, like again, when you've been through enough conversations, you start to hear some of the same objections, rejections, all those things as time goes on. And at a certain point, you can either predict, or you should sort of just know that this is going to happen and how you're going to answer to those. And so it's just strictly around preparation. Christina had a lot of really good points on this. She said, hey, when I'm cold calling out to shippers, there's typically 5-6 things that I'm going to hear. And for her, and I think for any freight broker, freight agent, it's always just going to be around, do you know what you're going to respond with when they say that, right? So if you know that a common one is, hey, we're all set right now on our carriers or brokers, or, like not moving anything right now, whatever the case may be. You just want to know, hey, how are you going to respond to that? Because if you're fumbling, you don't really know how to respond, then you're just not prepared. And, when you're not prepared, of course, it's not going to be a successful call. So just thinking, it makes a lot of sense when you can think about, hey, how are they going to respond when you bring these things up? What questions do you think that they'll have in advance? And at the end of the day, preparation is going to help you not be nervous. It's going to help you be more confident going into the conversation. And then obviously you can speed up the sales cycle by being able to go through those things a lot more efficiently.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with that. I always go back to my door-to-door days. I remember this. There was one time where I was with a trainer. I was a trainee at that time, and I was with one of my trainer. And we were walking up to this door, and there was a no solicitation sign in the window. And my first reaction is, let's get out of here. I don't want to go into this. They don't want us here. And this guy's like, no, let's go in. It's like, what? He goes, yeah, just watch this. Let's go in. So we go in, and of course the lady, she's like, guys, hey, there's a no solicitation sign. We don't, please, we don't want you in here. And this guy just calmly, he just said, hey, listen, I saw it, but man, that thing looks really old. How long have you guys had that thing? And this lady kind of said something, but we're not interested. He goes, I get it. But listen, we sell no solicitation signs that are much bigger. They're much brighter. That'll keep people guys like us out of here. And I can get you one of those today, along with a 3-pack of paper, and save you a trip to the store. What do you, like he knew it was coming, and he was so calm. He knew what to say, and we got the sale. And I remember walking out of that store like, I can't believe that. Like, he went into a place where he knew they didn't want him there, and he sold him because he was prepared for it. And that taught me a lot about being prepared for objections and how to handle those, how to even make them laugh a little bit. And I learned this: if you can make somebody laugh, you got a really great shot. You got a
Big
really
time.
great shot with them. So it's important to know what those are. Let me tell you another little trick. If you know what objections you're hearing on a regular basis, get your customers to speak to that objection. So if you have your
Mhm.
customers that will do testimonial content, ask them a question specifically related to that objection and have them talk about how, like, why they did it in spite of that.
It's a
And
great point.
it's such a great tool to use, because now it's not me trying to overcome the objection. It's my customer telling them why they shouldn't wait. They should get this right now, whatever
Correct.
the objection might be. So there's a lot of value that can be taken away from knowing what objections are coming, or that this every no is one step closer to yes. The only way
It
to get
is.
to yeses is through no's. There's no other way. It's just how it
Yeah.
works.
I mean, that's just the game. And especially if you haven't had a chance to actually explore it with somebody, of course, if you see that no solicitation sign, you're going to think, hey, there's no opportunity there. But I mean, again, like your trainer, he's been there, done that. He understands it. And that's actually a super clever way to get around that, because
Dude,
anybody else, I mean, if
it
I
was
saw that, I'd probably
genius.
be like, oh, I'm good.
I know, I was so genius, and it showed me that when you're prepared and when you're ready for it, you can have confidence, and you can actually overcome those things and do it in a way that was really funny. I mean, this lady was laughing, and I guarantee
Yeah.
you that she hated door-to-door salespeople, and she was laughing. We sold her paper. We sat down. We started going through her office. What else do you need? Rehashed her for some other products, and got that. I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it, but I'll never forget that experience. His name is Donnie Boyer, by the way. Shout out to Donnie Boyer.
Shout out
Phenomenal
Donnie.
guy, good friend. Donnie's one of a kind, man. He's still doing it today. He's still doing door-to-door stuff. He's phenomenal.
Door to
So,
door.
oh yeah, but he runs an office now of
Whew.
door-to-door professionals. So he's not always going out in the field, but he still can do. Like, that's the thing. Like, he can always hop back in the field and be successful. He just knows how to do it. But now he's a manager of people that do that. So pretty impressive.
That's incredible. Door to door has got to be much different today than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, there's less people actually in offices, number one, so there's less opportunities to do that. But at the same time, I also think that maybe people might welcome it more because there's probably fewer people in the office. A lot of companies have these hybrid models where there's fewer people in the office, fewer people to talk to. If I'm an extrovert and I'm in an office and nobody's there, I welcome somebody coming in to talk. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of 50-50, but
Everybody's different.
everybody's different. That's for sure. So, but true story. If you can get people laughing on a sales call, you got a great shot. You got a great
Agreed.
shot. So
Yep.
bring some humor to your sales out there, folks. All right. Last thing to talk about this before we have a little fun today is you also put a post out there about follow-up. I believe in this, man. This is huge. You said the amount of leads you have does not matter if you do not follow up. How you follow up matters. And it takes effort to do that. Talk about some of your best strategies for follow-up and how you think about that with Salesdash CRM to help salespeople with their follow-up, because it's so critical.
Yeah, so I mean, it all depends. Is it a totally cold lead, or is it somebody that you've actually engaged with? I think if it's somebody that you've engaged with, I mean, the reason why I'm such a CRM nerd is because to me it's like I can't do sales without it. I would just forget everything. And the thing that I love about it is, like, I don't know, I'm an odd lover of, the 6 months go by and then all of a sudden that lead pops back up. I've got all the notes and I know exactly how to follow up with. Like, that to me feels like the best overall buying experience that you can provide to somebody, and of course not every time it's going to work out, but it's like, yeah, I totally forgot about that conversation. That person, 6 months goes by faster than I think we all think, and it can come back up. But I think if it's a cold lead you've never engaged with, I always love the principle. I've learned this from Josh Braun, who's super big on LinkedIn, about just poking the bear. And again, it kind of starts with finding a need, but it's asking a really strategic question to learn more about their situation. And do they find themselves with that kind of issue or problem? I think he's very good about that. And I would say what a lot of people do that I see is they'll write this big book of like, hey, here's all my services, this, that. And it looks, just like a lot of text. And when you get a lot of text from a stranger that you've never seen before, it's very easy to just click arrow or exit out and just trash, delete, right? So I really like his method of that, because it's just a very simple, like, one-line question, and you're just trying to pique interest, right, and curiosity, and trying to learn one nugget of information versus go for the close. And then I think in follow-ups after you've actually engaged with somebody, whether it's on a call or a meeting, demo, whatever it may be, it's really just one, like, verbally, were you able to get some next steps? And I really learned this at Tesla when I was there. But when you get a no, there's obviously a reason you got to know, right? There's pieces of information or something that they still have to think about or still have to figure out. And I think your job as a salesperson, sales advisors, to figure out what that is. And like, that's the reason you're following up with. So, over there it was it the trade-in? Was it the financing? Was it the leasing? Was it the configuration, timing? Like there's always something, and you want to make that your follow-up and not just say, hey, are you ready to move forward? Like they would already, if they would have already moved forward, but you need to go with the reason as to why. And one of my trainers there, one of the coaches that was a regional coach, and some people like this, some people don't, but mentally I always put myself in the position that if I was to call them back and say, hey, this is Josh with Tesla, Josh with Salesdash, reason for my call is blank, that makes me get back into the motion of, okay, well, why did they not move forward? And I got to have that specific reasoning in terms of, what we're actually talking about for the follow-up. It shouldn't just be, are you ready to go? It should be about the specific things, information, needs that they have, timing, teammates to get involved, whatever it may be. And that's what I think makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, that's kind of what I would say around follow-ups. And it's just do them and do them over and over. People get busy. You get busy. I get busy. The people we, are engaging with get busy, and stuff pops up. So I think professionally and persistently staying in front is always a good thing. And as a salesperson, your goal is to get to a yes or a no, and no's are okay.
Yeah, no's are great. In fact, I heard somebody once say that no's are really just unanswered questions. There's a question in their mind that they don't have an answer to yet. That's why it's a no. So it's just digging a little bit deeper. And my best tip for follow-up, on top of everything you said, just remember my best tip. One of my extra tips is this, is when you're on a call with a prospect, try to learn something about what they love. Something personal. That might be like NASCAR, NBA, it could be traveling, whatever it is. Try to find something when you follow up, reference that. Because it gives them something, a good feeling, something to talk about. Oh, he paid attention. Oh, I didn't even know I said that, whatever it is. But it just gives a good feeling when you follow up, as opposed to just, are you ready to go? Hey, can we schedule another call? Try to do something that's really personal.
Have some kind of personal relationship if you can, or just know something personally. Sometimes it is fun not talking software and talking about some other real life stuff that's going on. So
yeah, I mean, if you're a prospect of mine and I wanted to reach out, I might have sent you a text, this morning. Can you believe that game last night? It was amazing. I can't believe they won it. We start talking about something else, and then eventually might get into, hey, let's jump back on a call and talk through, whatever it is. Like I think that's a real easy way to do that. And it just makes people comfortable because it's personal. You feel like somebody cares about you. They actually know they're talking about something you care about. I think that matters. So a lot of good stuff, man. All right, dude, listen, we got to have a little bit of fun here. We got a random question of the day today. Again, these are always questions I don't know anything about. It could be funny, could be serious, could be a good question. It could be a dud. I don't know. Let's see what it is. Today's random question of the day is, who actually tests the specific dog food when they say that it has a new and improved flavor? That's a good question.
Flavor.
How do we, when they come up with a new dog food and it's got a new flavor and they're talking about, do you think people actually try that? Only dogs try it.
Who actually tests the specific dog food? Oh, like the people, not necessarily like the organization, like the FDA or somebody.
I mean, do people eat the dog food to test it out? Do they have dogs try it out and see if they like it?
It's got to be just dogs. There's no way the people are actually eating it. But I also don't put anything past people, man. I don't. You see some weird stuff out there on the internet. So I wouldn't be surprised if you hop on TikTok and there's just some guy that's just testing out all the Purina cat and dog food.
All right, so that would be a great TikTok channel. But if you were a dog food taster, do you think you'd let anybody know about that? Like, how do you have a shot of getting married someday or having a girlfriend if you're a dog?
Yeah, no, I don't think you do.
I don't think that's no.
I don't think you do.
That would be a great TikTok account, though. That would be a great. I would watch. I would watch that. I would check that out. All right. Well, that was a random question. That was kind of weird. Good random question. All right, Josh, we gotta get out of here. But before we do that, what's next for Salesdash CRM? It's summer. No events going on. What are you guys working on? What are you guys doing?
Man, so I am two things. I think one, we're like diving a lot more into our carrier side and looking at some pretty cool other freight tech integrations for the second half of the year that we're going to be looking at. So really, really excited about that. Very happy with a lot of the feedback that we've gotten on the product for where it currently is, but really happy excited about the direction that we're going. Now it's just time to execute. So
who's your ideal customers right now? It was brokers. Are you selling to carriers now as well?
I would say primarily brokerages and agencies, carriers too, if they have a sales team. So just, anybody that's reaching out, and particularly to shippers for the most part, that's looking to do prospecting. But we do have a shipper and a carrier side. The carrier side's getting stronger and stronger. It's a very simplistic system, but there's some good stuff that we're working on right now, where even in the next
Dude,
month or
don't
two.
use but after that. That's a good thing. A simplistic system is good. You know, something
Yeah, no,
I'd
that's
rather have a simple system that I use 100% of than something that's too complex I use 10% of. Like that's, doesn't make
agreed.
any sense to me.
No, we don't. We're trying not to be one of those companies that just adds to add. All the feedback that we get and really what's on our roadmap is typically from the brokerages, agencies that we do work with that request things. And when we hear the same things over and over again, that's typically what we're building. So yeah, and a lot of the interest that we've had has been on the carrier side. So we're doing that. And then I don't have too much to share right now, but working on onboarding first sales and operations rep right now.
Hey, I mean that's
Yeah.
crazy, isn't it? It's kind of wild. You got to
So I'm
start
excited about that.
transitioning, doing those kind of things. I'm in a similar boat in terms of operations on my side of getting myself out of the seat of some of that kind of stuff. Do you have built into the system? Do you have the ability for customers to submit change requests and for other customers to vote on it?
No, we don't have one. I think we at a certain point we will look at implementing one of those boards. I saw one; it was super expensive. So I'm gonna be honest with you. That's the reason why we haven't implemented it yet, because the monthly cost was, in my opinion, pretty outrageous. And I kind of look at it as like, can we just build that?
Right.
But yeah, no, a lot of it is, I mean, because like we're such a small team and I hear a lot of the feedback. So if I hear that, I kind of have an own internal system that I'll say, hey, like this company, this company, this company. And then when we start to hear it multiple times, it's really when we know probably need to prioritize it a little bit more. Some of them will joke, be like, well, tell me who your customers are so I can call them and then try to get them to pitch these things more to you. But yeah, that's kind of the way we do it now. But eventually I think we will move to more of a board like that that's more public and people can do sort of the upvotes on what they would like to see and then also submit new ideas.
Dude, I think you can almost do that with Google Forms to start off with. If somebody submits a change request, put it into a Google form and send it out to your customer base and have them vote on it right there, just like almost like a notification, have them vote.
Yeah, I just don't want to blow them up with emails because honestly, like we get a decent amount of requests on some very interesting stuff. I've seen this other SaaS tool that's out there, and they have a really cool public board. They send out one email and say, "Hey, here's 2-3 new feedbacks that we've received," but you can click and see everything, so you can see
kind of a
what's most
monthly.
upvoted.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a live
Goes
board,
in,
so you can actually see what's got the most upvotes and like how it's actually moving day in and day out. So I think
right,
that
but the
tool
email
is really cool.
notification is monthly, right? You send it out maybe once a month. You let them know,
Yeah.
hey, go check the board, kind of thing. Could be part of a
Yep.
newsletter. Could be good, but I think you could totally build that out, man. That'd be really
Yeah.
fascinating. See that?
Yeah, we do a weekly newsletter. I send it out almost every week. It just kind of depends if we actually have good stuff to add. So I'm skipping this week and going into next week based on an update that we're doing tomorrow or Thursday. But it's a good way to, like, people read it, which is cool. I get people that say, hey, it's good to keep up with the updates. Of course, not everybody reads it, but it's that in particular has been a good way to just kind of stay engaged with our customer base.
Yeah, very cool, man. Josh, hey, listen, man, always good to have you on the show. Thanks for sharing your knowledge about sales and for building a product for the industry. I think it's just awesome. And thanks for being on the show, man. I have to come back and we'll cut it up. Maybe do some more website roasting here soon.
Yeah, we got to do some more website roasting soon. I think that would be good. But always good, man. Thanks for hosting. Hope to see you in the next couple months and play a little bit of golf and chop it up.
We are going to play a little golf, that's for sure. Anybody who wants to check out Josh's YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and search for Salesdash CRM, and you'll see his YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Check out all the good content he's putting out there. And I got to get you out of here with your song, man. I mean, we got to listen to more of this. I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah. I need to see the live performance.
To that, man. But hey, thanks for coming by, man. We'll talk to you real soon. We'll see you, bud.
Thanks, Trey. Good to see you, man.
All right, everybody. I'm not going to wrap that. We're going to let that go for right now. But want to end the program with a new segment called the Tip of the Week. We'll come up with a better name later. But today's tip is about sales, and it kind of goes with what Josh was talking about. The saying goes that time kills all deals. So here are 2 tactics that will help you close more deals, things I've used in the past in my sales experience. One is openly discuss timelines and next steps on sales calls. Okay, so talk about that and try to get agreement with, here's where our timelines are, this is where we're going. And so everybody's on the same page in terms of what to expect of the timeline and the next steps of the sales process. I think it's very, very helpful. And then when you're on that call, that's number 2, make sure that you always schedule the next call on the current call if it's needed. If there's a next step or next call that needs to take place, make sure you schedule it on that call. Don't email later and try to schedule it. It just wastes time. Everybody's right there. Grab your calendar, look real quick, get that call scheduled and keep it moving because, as they say, time kills all deals. So don't let too much time go by on your deals. Also, a couple of announcements. We are moving forward towards the Broker Carrier Summit, which is coming up in October 23rd through 25th down in Fort Worth, Texas. Hope to see you there if you're a broker or a carrier, especially if you're looking for like-minded partners in the industry, people who are going to take care of you and want you to succeed in your business. Go to brokercarriersummit.com to learn all about that and to register right now for the event. It's going to be a great time down there in Fort Worth. Again, just one of the most phenomenal events that are out there. Also, take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. And if you're not on YouTube right now, you can search for Beta Podcast Network, beta_podcast_network. Subscribe to that so you don't miss any of the content. You get a notification for every episode of Standing Out, as well as our other content that is on the YouTube channel as well. And again, one more thank you to our friends over at SPI Logistics for sponsoring the show. We appreciate that. Check them out at success.spi3pl.com. And until next time, remember, friends, don't stand still, start standing out. We'll see you.